I was asked the other day by one of my customers about what their options were if their home was not worth as much as it could be sold for in today's market. And it was an interesting answer. I'd like to tell you about it. And this is Ron Wysocarski with Wise Home Team Realty with some thoughts about is your home underwater? The first thing that I mentioned was that when is the last time that we've really examined the sales comparables? Are we really sure that you're underwater? It's interesting. More people than you realize actually feel they're underwater on their home. And maybe that's because they bought it in the last couple of years. Maybe there was right up against competitive bidding. Maybe they had a small down payment, such as a VA with no money down, and they're worried about fees and costs. And what I'm finding interesting is there's a couple of things that might actually help. The first is just prices have appreciated beyond what a lot of people actually realize. So I guess the first step is let's make sure, in our eyes, what the comparables say your house is actually worth in today's market. So that's step number one. Step number two, ignore all this online BS out there. I don't care if it's the Zillow thing or this offer, that all these appraisal valuation sites that think they know how much your home is worth. Let me tell you something, they're algorithms. They've never been in a single house. There's no wizard of pricing sitting back there. It's a computer program comparing the very basics of square footage, bedrooms and bathrooms. They have no idea if it backs up to water, if it's remodeled, or, I don't know, moldy inside. So get rid of the online evaluations. Get a pro to actually tell you what the house is worth. And then we may find out you have more equity than you possibly ever thought. And if that's the case, then it could absolutely be sold if that's what you're looking to do, and you can move on to the next place. So that is a rather simple answer, but more often than not, that one's working. Now, if it's not working, what could we do next? A couple crazy things. We could price it aggressively, and you're thinking, why price it aggressively when we should put it way above where it probably we think it's worth, so that we'll have enough, or, I don't know, moldy inside. So get rid of the online evaluations. Get a pro to actually tell you what the house is worth. And then we may find out you have more equity than you possibly ever thought. And if that's the case, then it could absolutely be sold if that's what you're looking to do, and you can move on to the next place. So that is a rather simple answer, but more often than not, that one's working. Now, if it's not working, what could we do next? A couple crazy things. We could price it aggressively, and you're thinking, why price it aggressively when we should put it way above where it probably we think it's worth, so that we'll have enough room to negotiate and enough room to get all the closing costs and commissions, everything netted out of there. You could do that, but my suspicion is you're going to linger on the market. And if you really do need to sell, then you need to think about a different aggressive strategy. What if we priced it a little bit below where the current market is? And we had a super aggressive campaign, and we mentioned that we're going to launch it on a Wednesday or a Thursday for previewing, open house on the weekend, and no offers will be looked at until the following Monday or Tuesday. And we create massive demand and we get multiple offers. Maybe, just maybe, we can push that price right to where you need it. And if not, we do have the option to say there was not an acceptable offer within the bunch, and then we can readjust from there. Now, it's not the perfect solution, but it's a lot better than writing a check at closing. Now, if we do everything as aggressively as possible, and you do have to move, and you do have to sell, your options get a little more limited after that. You very likely are facing writing a check, and hopefully it's not a big one at closing, and that's usually the way that people do it. You know, tax refunds are around the corner. Stimulus money's around the corner. There's a few things that might help you get through this. Maybe, just maybe, there's a personal loan out there. There's a lot of companies doing that online right now. That may also get you that little bit of extra cash you need to get yourself out of a tough deal. The longer road is foreclosure and short sale. If you're making your payments, I don't know that I would stop making the payments. That's going to damage your credit, and it's going to cost you in other areas. As your credit goes down, things like insurance go up. And there's a number of other things that you're probably not thinking about right now that will cost you more money down the road. The short sale, there's not a lot of that going on right now, but if you're truly underwater and you have a hardship, the banks may listen. And there's a form and a methodology that has worked in the past. I mean, 10 years ago, it's all we did was short sales. So there's a way to get it done. So, what were the steps? If you think you're underwater, well, let's make sure that you're actually underwater. That's resolving a lot of issues right there. Number 2, we can do an aggressive pricing strategy. 3, you bring a check to closing. And 4, you look at the foreclosure or you look at the short sale. So you've got 4 options, and at least 2 of them are pretty good. 1, is mediocre, you pay it. And 4 is probably a last resort for you. I hope that helps you. And some people, they are concerned about being underwater. We usually see it with somebody with a low down payment, or perhaps somebody that moved and has to sell within the first year. There may have not been enough time for the appreciation. Those are the 2 biggest. And that's what I got for you today. So if you have any questions or you just want to leave a comment below, please do that. Absolutely subscribe and let us know how you feel about the content we're putting out for you. And again, just contact us if you have any questions. This is Ron Wysocarski at Wise Home Team Realty.